What's up, guys? Xavier the Guy here, and I wanted to come and talk to you guys about one that's another serious talk. Actually, I've been wanting to do a video on this for a long time, and one of my friends came up to me and asked me, "Hey, what's your opinion on this?" So I decided to talk about it, and of course, you guys can see what it is that I'm talking about, but I like the ambiguous entrance to a video. So today we will be talking about transgenderism and gender fluidity. And yes, those are actual terms for those who are going to doubt me. Or at least I know the first one is. The second one just seems obvious to me. So, I would like to put a warning here. There's some of the things I'm going to be talking about during this are not super friendly things. They're if you get triggered by a lot of dark topics, I don't want to trigger you. And also, I'm not always gonna say things that everybody's going to like. Don't just straight up yell at me. Give your opinion. We can have a debate. That's fine. But I don't want to get just yelled at. Okay? So, I hope you guys enjoy the video from here on. So, to start things off simply, let's talk about the definition of transgenderism. Transgenderism, defined by Oxford Dictionary, is this: a state or condition in which a person's identity does not conform unambiguously to conventional ideas of male or female gender. Basically, it's somebody who doesn't, they don't conform. They don't follow the clear-cut rules of what it is to be a guy or a girl, essentially. So that, in this case, what it means is like a girl who classifies herself as a guy. And because that's cutting away from the conventional ideas of male or female. So, I do have issues with this concept, and a lot of people will probably think I'm crazy, but I want to go through what I think. So, let's do it. So to continue on what I was talking about. I'm sorry, I am a little bit uncomfortable right now just because I'm trying to put out so much information. And usually I do this over like the course of an hour at work. Okay. So, my biggest issue with transgenderism and gender fluidity is that you cannot really be born. I don't think anyone is actually born with the condition, or if somebody is, it's just a rare amount. That it's such a small amount of people who are actually born thinking with this kind of mindset at hand. So I think there are things that can cause this to occur more often, and to occur, like to believe you are the wrong gender. And the reason why I said trigger warning at the beginning is here, because some of these causes are pretty bad. Tragedy is what can cause it. Tragedy, something that is tragedy is something that tears up that individual. It's something that they were unprepared for, that mentally they could not handle. Because there are people who, if you do the same thing to two people, they're not going to react the exact same way about it. There are people who, if you stab them, they'll bleed and scream in pain, but they won't be super paranoid that they're going to get stabbed again by somebody else. And there are people who are never going to trust another person again because they got stabbed once. It's just how people rationalize things. So what I wanted to So tragedy, and the most common tragedy I've seen linked to people who are either transgendered or gender fluid, honestly, has to be rape and sexual assault. I know this is a grim topic, but this is such a terrible thing that we probably should talk about it, and I'm going to do a video about it eventually. I keep telling myself that, at least. Okay, so I'm gonna set up a little bit more. But tragedy is something that hits our brain with a heavy force. And then we're left trying to figure out how to deal with it from then on. And some people can deal with their tragic moments a little bit easier. Sometimes they find something that helps them sooner, but sometimes other people don't. For especially in the cases of sexual assault, a lot of the people that I know who are transgendered women to men, and I know a few of them have been sexually assaulted in some way, and that is terrible. But it also it can give you an explanation as to why, because if they got assaulted, they're probably going to feel that as though it's because one thing or another, usually because they were a girl. A lot of people think that. You would be if you're saying no, they don't, then you'd be surprised. A lot of people blame people who get sexually assaulted almost always blame themselves for it. And so if you're blaming yourself for this, then it's your fault. What if I was just not a girl anymore? Well, maybe it wouldn't have happened if I was a girl. That's the kind of thinking that goes through some of these people's heads. I know it's sad, but it's what it is. So let's get off this sad topic. Okay, guys, so actually this is my second attempt at this part, because I am a rambler and screwed up and lost track of where I was. So there are two things I want to talk about. Mental gender and acceptance. And then I'm going to do my outro so you guys can leave. So, mental gender. This is something that I very much disagree with. I don't think the mind has a gender itself. I think your mind's gender is tied to your body's gender, because, guys' brains and girls' brains are shaped differently and composed differently. They have slightly different amounts of different things in it, and that is really important, honestly. But I don't think you can really be I don't think your mind's gender can be something different than your body's gender, especially when you think that. I don't think that your mind has a gender. I think the consciousness that you have is genderless in its basic form, and then some people just apply a gender to it. One sec. Dehydration. So if you believe that that your mind has a different gender, I'm not gonna yell at you, but sorry. My nose feels funny. Like, not really stuffy, but just weird. And I just play with my face if I'm uncomfortable or don't know what to do. So transgenderism doesn't exactly make sense in the concept that your brain not being gendered. Not your brain, your mind, your consciousness. But to move on a little bit, the human body and mind are set to come into stasis or stability, to be stable. So the concept of gender fluidity is actually less likely possible than the concept of being transgendered. Gender fluidity is the concept that you aren't exactly one or the other, that you're both, just not always at the same time. So you can't really be transgendered, honestly, if you want to ask me, because, not transgendered, gender fluid, I'm sorry. You can't really be gender fluid because gender is a solid. If it's anything, it's a solid. It's something that one thing and one thing only. It doesn't translate states. It doesn't have free movement. It would be one thing and one thing only. I know that not everybody wants to agree with that, and that's fine. But I don't think it's possible to be multiple genders at once, essentially. You're either a guy or a girl. You can't be both, you can't be neither. You are something. You are always going to be something. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. And then the last part is acceptance. This is the part that's going to be the most controversial, just because I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I do think there are people like this. I don't think everybody who is transgendered or gender fluid falls into this category, but I do think there's probably a good percentage of them that do. So I feel like part of the reason why so many people are transgendered or gender fluid is because they can't. They're struggling to accept themselves for who they are. That sounds like I'm just kind of BSing something, but no, it really is. They can't accept themselves physically, and because of something that, God, I don't know how to put this well. Like, a lot of people who I know who are trans, who consider themselves trans, are constantly say I want to change this about my body and change that about my body. And of course, I'm not saying changing your body is a problem. Losing weight is something that we change all the time. Cutting our hair, shaving, which I probably should do. You guys may not be able to see it, but it bothers me. That kind of stuff is we don't always accept the things that are going on with our body. We don't always accept our body. But I feel like this is just kind of like an extreme version of not accepting your body and yourself. Because do you really think that you're a different gender, or do you just not want to conform to the current roles that is placed upon it? I know girls who don't consider themselves transgendered, who complain about their wanting less boobs and stuff like that. I also know girls who complain about the opposite, but that's not the point. It doesn't really make sense in the long run train of thought lost, guys. I'm sorry. As far as this goes, though, I feel like a lot of the problem with that causes this is that people don't accept themselves physically for many reasons. The tragedy thing all the tragedy stuff I was talking about earlier, that can be a good reason that they don't accept themselves. So we got tragedy, we've got the bullying. Some people just don't feel comfortable in their own body, in their own skin, and sometimes they find more comfort in pretending to not be themselves, and that can take many forms. And I'm not saying you're not. And God, I'm gonna get myself in so much trouble the way I speak. Okay. Well, that's the end of that part. So, thanks for watching, guys and girls. I hope you can forgive me for my inability to properly use English all that well. I mean, I have high vocabulary, but trying to fit all these thoughts together doesn't always link well, in my head especially. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys will take the time and talk with me in the comments. I enjoy listening to your guys' opinions on everything, and I will try to have this up today, and actually today is 6/7/17. So you guys can tell me, I'm saying this so you guys can yell at me if I don't get it up by the end of the day. So have a great day, guys.